Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of our recording here. I'm super excited to have a special guest on, Jabri. Jabri is an author and a public speaker, someone that I've become acquainted with and actually have become very great personal friends with as well. Jabri Harrison leads Biblically Conservative, a conservative That's it. A conservative organization that's doing a lot of great things in the state of Tennessee and across the world as well. Jabri, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And the topic that we're going to be talking about is how to write and publish your book or a book. And so before we jump into that, if you could tell everybody who you are, what you do, and so we can get acquainted with you.
And let me know if I break up any. But my name's Jabri Harrison. I am the founder of Biblically Conservative. This journey has taken me to places that I didn't know that where I would go. I didn't ever think that I would be an author. I didn't think about writing a book. I was just on my journey, and I felt like God led me to write a book, and I thought that my grandma would be the only one to read it, but I've sold copies, and it's been a blessing ever since, and it's opened up so many doors. So if I could do it with no background, not a English major or really a writer in a sense, if I could do it, anybody could do it.
So I know that you and I, we network in different circles, socially, politically. What was it that started you on this journey of wanting to write a book? Now, I know centers of influence, persons of interest, they do a lot of Zoom calls, they do a lot of interviews, podcasts, whatnot. So was it like a collaboration of everything come together to say, hey, I got all this going on, all this experience, I'm doing all this stuff, now let me transition it into a book? And so then it's kind of like, wow, now how do I put this all together?
Well, I will start off by saying, if you're watching this, then you probably want to write a book, or you thought that I really looked good on the flyer. But we've all thought about writing a book at some point. And for me, it wasn't really that I wanted to be an author or anything. Like I said, I just feel like God just gave me a book and downloaded that book in me. And I just was obedient and wrote it. And really through the process, I didn't know what was on the other side. And I didn't know how blessed I would be from writing the book.
So tell us, what all are you involved in currently? I know you have a few organizations that you work with. So I know it's crazy because it's like one day you're in like Chattanooga, the next day you're in Knoxville, one day you're here in Murfreesboro, and it's like you got a lot going on. But what is Jabri into?
I'm just I love God, and wherever He takes me, that's where I go. Like you said, I'm either sometimes in DC. I'm all over the state. I'm in Florida. I actually do live in Murfreesboro, but I'm everywhere else more than I am at home. But what I do on the daily, I guess, is meet with influential leaders. I meet with leaders around the state, around the nation. I am the founder, like I said, the founder of Biblically Conservative. I have many hats. The founder of Heavenly Dose. I sit on 5 boards, and I'm heavily involved in like 27 organizations. So yeah, do a lot of liaison work of businesses sending me out and me connecting with their leaders, really casting the vision. I feel like as the body, our messages align, and that's why businesses, churches, organizations, nonprofits, they trust me to go out and really just connect with these leaders and say, hey, we need to work together. We're all in it for the same cause. We're all fighting towards the same goal. And I'm big on community. And so I love building a community. I love having a community. And yeah, that's what I do in every single aspect of my life, whether it's individually, whether it's on an organizational level, or on a community level.
So tell us a little bit about Jabri Harrison. So was Jabri always like this, or what was the early Jabri like growing
Yeah,
up? How did you find your way into community service?
yeah. So I came out of the womb perfect. I'm joking. I'm joking. Uh, I I really, I guess, struggled growing up. Um, I moved a lot, and I was bouncing back and forth, and so I never really had a community. But I was always a leader. Everywhere that I went, I was tasked with being the new person and me rising to the top as a leader. And so I grew up leading and learning to lead people that I just met. And and then also I had to learn how to connect to people very well, uh, on, a level faster than most, because again, I bounce back and forth. And that's why a lot of people say that I'm very gifted and skilled in networking. It just comes natural to me. But yeah, growing up, I was a big sports guy. I love the Florida Gators. I could tell you who's on the practice team. I could tell you 1 through 8 depth chart. I could tell you all the stats and statistics. I love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When I was 7 years old, they won the Super Bowl, and last year they won the Super Bowl also. So I'm not a bandwagon. I just love sports. I love football. I love basketball. A Lakers fan, Kobe Bryant, and he really instilled in me, like, just fall in love with the journey. It's not about the trophies. It's about building that community. Like, what is the grind that you guys went through? What was the hard times and the sweat and the blood, sweat, and tears? And those are the memories that you'll remember when you're holding the trophy. And obviously, the trophy is the goal, but the journey is the process to get there. And so I love processes. I always kind of love systems because I love the process. When I was in middle school, I wanted to be a sports agent. And when I was in high school, I had a knack for business. I was in virtual enterprise, DECA, marketing, business academy, everything. I got fourth in state in business plan. And so I just love the marketing aspect, learning how to brand yourself, the systems behind it, what attracts people and what keeps people loyal, was my big thing. And then I guess some of that tied into the church world, whenever I started working with church plants, doing systems and things like that. I love the whole building something up from the bottom. Then my life radically changed when I fully desired to seek Christ. God put me on platforms off the bat, and in about a year, I wrote my first book. So again, no seminary, no business degree. God just put me on the platform, and I was obedient and wrote a book. And speaking came with, and so that's just, it's just a crazy radical story.
That's cool, man. I mean, you got a lot of you've gone through a lot, you've come through a lot, you have a lot of experiences. And so definitely having your first book published and right now getting ready to you're currently writing your second book. So that brings us to the topic, right? So that brings us to the topic. So for many people out there that are looking or that are, they've asked themselves, you know what, I have a story to tell. How do I tell this story and put it in a book? What are the steps? Like, I know you got to have content. You probably got to have a lot of content because, and you really don't want to cheat and have a book with large print. Um, I mean, I guess you could, but so what are the steps? Someone wants to write a book, and I know we're not going to fit it all in tonight, but we definitely got to have a few different um, segments of this to really dig into it. But the beginning stages of how do you write a book? Like, you get the idea of you want to write it, and then how do you get the content? How do you start that journey to write a book?
Yeah, so usually I'm very encouraging, but I'm gonna be a little discouraging. If you thought about writing a book, you're pretty average because 99% of people that want to write a book never do. But on the other side, God has given us all a book because we all have a story. And so what holds us back? That's that big disconnect of 99% of people that want to write a book never do. Is it fear? Fear that your peers are going to look down on it and what they're going to say about it, that you're not good enough or your content's not good enough. I failed English and I was never really a writer, et cetera, et cetera. Or is it that it just feels like a daunting task? It feels like, will I have enough time to do that? Do I have the resources to do that? Um, the feeling of being overwhelmed, like where do I start? And so I think that's what you're asking is like, where do we start? And so I think where you start is, why do you want to write a book? There's a lot of reasons of why people want to write a book. They want to be famous, they want to speak, or maybe you just had an idea that God has given you. So the question number one is like, why do you want to write your book? And I will write that down somewhere. Keep it close to you, and it'll be a reminder for you. And then the second question is, do you want to become an author? Because I feel like there's two avenues in this. Like, being an author is more than just writing a book. It takes diligence, discipline, and perseverance. And are you willing to stay up at night? Are you willing to sit in a quiet place? Are you really willing to write whenever you want to watch TV, binge watch Netflix? Or do you think that the words will just jump on the page? And so so if you just want to write a book, um, you have a great idea and you feel like somebody needs to put this in a book. So you could be the creator of the book and not write it. You could give an idea to an author, or there's resources that'll help you in the process to every step of the way to help you write a book. There's people that copyright, that people that write it for you, people that take your idea and like really help you brainstorm it out. There's people that edit. There's a lot of different resources that we have if you just want to write a book.
So are you self-publishing your book?
I am.
So how does that work? How does someone self-publish their book? They have a story to tell, or they probably better think twice to say, hey, is my story really, people going to really pick it up and read my story? Do I really have something to share and really come in, face to face with, do I have enough content to write this book? And then I guess you get a notebook and start writing stuff down and journaling every day. And then, tell us a bit about the life of a self-publisher.
I mean, I was waiting for you to, tell us, how to write. No, so, if you just want to write a book and you don't see it as a career, that may be a way. The publishing side of it, I feel like, is on down the line. So I'm not going to skip to that part. But if you truly want to be an author, you see yourself in book signings, you see yourself doing a book tour, you see yourself speaking in front of people, webinars, or podcasts. then we have to put in the time to work on our craft and doing writing exercises. And I think the second step in this all, the first step is ask why you want to write a book. The second step is to start to become a blogger. And this step I disliked the most. I actually sat down with somebody that worked with Thomas Nelson, and I said, no, I walked away from the meeting. I said, no, I don't think I'll do that. But later on, after I became, an author, I was like, man, that's great. That's great advice, because it's the least rewarding. You won't become a bestseller or award-winning author by blogging, but it builds your writing muscles, and it's the best time to test your creativity. It's a time to find your writing style, to find your writing voice, and really it helps you to find your niche. And your niche is very key. And so the second, as you said, is content. It helps you to have content whenever you write into a blog, because it's really kind of throwing the spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks, but you're really having a bunch of content that you could pull from later. And so writing your book.
And let me ask you this. So is the content that you're journaling, you said you're also blogging. So yeah. You're blogging on yourself, or just like kind of the blog is a journal, right? That you're just journaling every day?
Yes, and it's a online journal, but I'll get into why you want an audience, right? So a blog could help you write your book before you write your book. You could put out these blogs and maybe nobody sees it. Maybe you don't have a big audience. Maybe you want to grow a big audience and they see it, but they don't know that that's your book. But you could later on pull from that and write your book out of the content that you have on your blog. And so, and it's time, it helps you to, again, do writing exercises. So, and then one of the number one things is finding a problem and then solve it for your audience. So whenever you're on your blog, just think of like problems that you have that your audience probably has. Like if you have that problem and those are your type of people, your audience probably has that same problem. So think of the problems, like think of nonprofit problems, think of like small business owner problems. What are the problems that you're facing, and like try to solve them for your audience. And as you said, it could just be a journal, or you could use this, which if you want to become an author, you want to become published, you want to get awards and bestsellers, use it as an audience builder. It puts your audience in one place, and then it creates an audience for your book. And it also creates a sales funnel for your book, your business, and speaking on down the line. You have an email list. You have people that already love your content. So you're not like fresh off the bat, because whenever you come out with a book, people are like, if somebody just walked up and gave me a book, I probably wouldn't read it. But if I love Joshua's content and I fell in love with Joshua, I follow Joshua, if he gives me a book, I'm probably going to read it. And that's what we need to do with our audience, is really build our audience through blogging. And also, again, building your resume, building your content. And publishers love this. They want to see if you could sell a book. Basically, they see dollar signs. And if you have a blog that has thousands of people following it, and that's your audience, they know that whenever your book comes out, you're at least going to have your audience to sell to.
So and that's really cool. Having the blog. I'm sorry, get back to 4. My bad.
No, yeah. Just two quick things is, like you said, or if you're not comfortable putting it online, you could journal it. I think writing things down is like therapeutic. I love journaling and really getting stuff on paper. It's one of my favorite things to do, and it takes it from here in my brain and puts it on paper, and then I could organize it. I could make it better. But putting your idea on paper is number one. then I think putting it to a blog. Or if you're a social media guru, what you could do is you could do Insta blogs. So basically on your Facebook, on your Instagram, your Twitter, I don't think it has enough captions, but you could write like mini blogs on your social media, which again builds your writing muscle, and then it also adds value to your audience. And that's the whole thing with like the blogging, is really getting an email list, really getting the audience, and then practicing on your skills. But then it also adds value to your audience. It adds value to the people around you, and that's the biggest key.
That's incredible. That's something I never really thought about, is, writing a book. The precursor to writing a book is starting a blog, and then creating, I know, and like, you got to create an audience, you got to create a following, you got to have brand awareness. People got to know who you are. And especially if you have a following, it helps you that much more when it comes to, you saying, hey, I'm actually going to write a book, because you can write a book and not nobody know who you are. And then you're having a hard time trying to sell that book to a publisher. And then the biggest thing is like the content that you have is the content that you're going to be writing down on a daily basis, content that people are actually going to want to read. Or they just going to be like, I don't want to read your boring life, or is your life, that your experiences that you pull in, something that's going to jump out and just grab somebody. So yeah, that's incredible. Like I said, we're not going to have a lot of time to really dive into a lot more. We're going to have some more segments here. But any let's talk about those 4 really quick. If you can go down the list, the 4 points, and before we head out at 6:30 here. But give us the 4 points again, Jabri.
Yeah. So the first step is being a blogger. So that number 1, it builds content for you. Number 2, it's an audience builder. And number 3, it adds value to your community. Number 4, down the line, it shows that you could sell books to the publisher. And also I want to add in too, if you're working a 9 to 5 and you want to be an author, you want to be a speaker, you want to write so it could add value to your business, this could be another stream of income that's coming in. You could have ads, or you could sell merch on your blog. You could really, it could be another stream of income from your audience. If you're adding value to them, they'll be willing to give you a little bit in return. And so it won't be life-changing, but it'll lead you to the path of, not doing that to becoming an author and being sustained financially from it.
Well, thank you so much, Jabri, for coming on and spending time with us this evening. I really appreciate it. Definitely going to get your commitment right now. You're coming back to talk a little bit more about how to write a book, and then we could talk about publishing right down the road. But biggest thing right now is just how to write a book. Maybe the next time that we hop on, we could talk about how do you get the ideas? How do you put all the ideas together? How do you start a blog? Some people may not know how to start a blog, so we could talk a little bit about that. But any last remarks that you might have that you could leave us with?
No, I think you're right. I don't give them too much, because I have this course online, but I want.
No, definitely plug it in. Like, how can people find that course online? Is there an email address, a website they can go to?
Yeah, if you email me at PW, as in prayer warrior, Jabri, Jabri at Gmail, and I'll send that over to you. But then I would love to talk about the structure of actually writing a book. How do you sit down? How do you find a quiet place and really get the creative juices going? So
let's definitely do that. The structure of writing a book. We got our next topic, the structure of writing a book. That is awesome. Grace, thank you so much for hopping on this evening. I really appreciate you. Want to give an opportunity. Do you have any questions for Jabri before we end our call? Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jabri, for hanging out with me this evening. I know you got better other places to be. I was going to say better places, but the better place to be is right here with me. But really like your background, biblically conservative. How can people find out more about biblically conservative?
Yeah, biblicallyconservative.com, and we have Instagram, Twitter, Telegram, and it's all just biblically conservative. On biblicallyconservative.com, and quick plug in on our podcast. It's on all streaming sites, but it's Kingdom and State podcast. So yeah, that Kingdom and State is the entry level of how you want to, like, what we're talking about, what we believe, and why we're doing it.
And I have listened to a few of your podcasts and they are incredible. So thank you so much, Jabri, for spending time with us this evening. I'm going to definitely, we're going to get a next date on the calendar so we can structure of writing a book. Thank y'all so much. For those of you that are interested in connecting with Jabri, definitely email him, reach out to him, and get some one-on-one lessons from Jabri as well. Jabri's one thing that I can say that Jabri is always open to talk with you, email you back, connect with you. Jabri is full of wisdom and has a lot of experiences. Thank you so much, Jabri, and Biblically Conservative for just spending time with us. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will see you next time on our next meeting.
All right, you guys.
We'll see ya.